Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you to the second session of the day, and it's our pleasure and honor to have with us Professor P.V.K. Sasidhar. Sir is Professor, School of Extension and Development Studies, uh, Indira Gandhi National Open University. And the topic chosen for deliberation by our esteemed guest is evaluation tools and techniques for extension research. Sir, you are audible as well as visible, and also your screen is visible. Let's switch to PPT so that we could start with the session. Yeah, can you start the slideshow? Perfect. You can start, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Majid. At the outset, I thank the organizers of Karnataka Veterinary University and then NDCL from Jammu and Kashmir, and my junior colleagues, Dr. Prakash, Dr. Chennappa Gowda, and many others. Welcome to this session. And my name is Sasidhar. I work as a professor in School of Extension and Development Studies, Indira Gandhi National Open University, New Delhi. Before joining IGNOU, I was with Indian Council of Agriculture Research in Agriculture Research Service from 2003 to 9 at IVRA campus, Bareilly. So today's topic for discussion is on evaluation tools and techniques for extension research. This is the outline I propose. If time permits, we can do a card exercise. Otherwise, we'll move on, and then you can submit this card exercise as maybe as an exercise to the coordinators of the program. Then we will discuss briefly about appraisal, monitoring, evaluation, and impact assessment. Then different types of evaluation and evaluation designs. Then how to conduct evaluation, and I will give some specific examples using Bennett's evaluation hierarchy framework. Then key evaluation questions with contextualization, evaluation and impact assessment curriculum, that is the broad subject matter area committees of ICR that I also worked, and I will share those details also. This is usually when I conduct this session on campus or face-to-face mode, I conduct this exercise also. Maybe this slide you can copy, then you can write this as an exercise and submit this to the program coordinators. So my intention of conducting this exercise is whether any one of you or all of you are acclimatized with evaluation studies. So have you conducted any evaluation study, and if your answer is yes, fill in the boxes for 1 to 3 program objectives, because for every evaluation we'll have objectives. They are what will happen as a result of the program. When a program or a project, extension program or extension project is implemented, at the end what will happen are the result. These are the program objectives. Then the evaluation indicators are what will you measure that will provide evidence of change, because evaluation revolves around the change theory. So before the program, after the program. So we need to know about the evaluation indicators that we will discuss also. Then what are the data collection techniques like questionnaires, telephone, mail survey, observation, focus group, or broadly classifying them into quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods. Then time and place of data collection like pre and post test, that's workshops. Then follow-up studies like 3 to 6 months of the program or project, and then baseline data during planning stage. So I suggest and request all of you, please note down this slide. And even if you have not conducted any evaluation study, based on this 1 hour session, you try to identify a topic and do this one. Then why should we do research on appraisal, monitoring, evaluation, and impact assessment? When we talk about evaluation, the closely associated terms are appraisal, monitoring, and impact assessment also. On the right side of the screen, you will find the program planning cycle. This is a very, very basic and fundamental what you call the concept that we study all of us during our even UZ extension course also. Like the program planning cycle involves 3 major steps: the program formulation, program delivery, and the program evaluation. So we are going to discuss mostly the third component, evaluation. All of us are extension professionals, and our responsibility is one of the major responsibility is implementing extension programs with efficiency, accountability, and with proper resource allocation. What are the resources? Human resources and financial resources, plus some time resources. So we need to have efficiency and accountability and proper resource allocation while we are implementing extension programs. And many organizations, they also look for experts in the areas of appraisal, monitoring, evaluation, and assess the impact of development projects and intervention. Therefore, we need to have the competency in the area of appraisal, monitoring, evaluation, and impact assessment. Then what are the brief differences between them? Broadly, if we want to classify, appraisal is a pre-program activity, monitoring is during the program activity, evaluation is just at the end or after the program activity, and impact is a sort of long-term assessment. A long-term evaluation can be termed as impact. So before project is appraisal, during the project is monitoring, just at the end of the project is evaluation, and after a period of time, maybe longitudinal evaluation is impact assessment. So appraisal is a critical examination of your own program proposal. Maybe we can call it as a project proposal or a program proposal for funding. Normally, before the implementation of the program and funding, they may go for different indicators. They are called appraisal criteria, project appraisal criteria. They could be economic viability of the project. They see economic benefits in terms of cost benefits, returns to the research, net present value. These are some of the terminology we use frequently in priority setting and economics of programs. Then the technical feasibility, how far the program is implementable in terms of technical feasibility and technical issues involved, and our social desirability. And you can add on many other things, like for instance, environmental desirability or environmental contribution. Like many projects that we are taking up, for instance, metro projects, Delhi Metro, Chennai Metro, Nagpur Metro. So they do have environmental component. How much money or how many carbon credits that they are saving by mass transportation system. When one environmental benefits are exceeding the economic, technical, and social desirability benefits, then obviously the program or project will be sanctioned. And many times political desirability. The project may not be viable economically, technically may not be feasible, socially desirable or not, environmentally acceptable or not. But if political commitment is there, then also the program is appraised and appraisal process is cleared. So these are some of the indicators. You can add on the indicators depending on the program or the project. Then monitoring is a continuous activity that starts with the program and ends with the program, whereas evaluation is a one-shot operation at a point of time, maybe usually at completion or midway of the program, like midterm appraisal or midterm evaluation. Monitoring is required for immediate use and mid-course correction, whereas evaluation is useful for replicating the program, expansion of the program, and future replication or future expansion of the program. Monitoring is usually done by the internal people or implementing personnel, whereas evaluation is done usually by outside agency. There are advantages and disadvantages of conducting evaluation both internally and externally, but preferably external evaluation is always desirable. Monitoring is quick, but it covers all the units of the program or project, whereas evaluation depends on a particular representative sample. Monitoring is a correcting or managing process, whereas evaluation is a learning process. Monitoring is symptomatic, early warning system so that we can correct something if it is going wrong, whereas evaluation is a diagnostic tool once the program is over. Whereas appraisal, monitoring, and evaluation, they focuses on the processes involved in program or the project and the direct results of the program. Appraisal, monitoring, and evaluation, they focus on processes involved and the direct results of the program, whereas impact assessment focuses on long-term, wide-ranging changes beyond the immediate results of the program. When we discuss in the next few slides, then you will get more clarity on these issues, right? Then why evaluation competencies are essential in extension, whether it is agricultural extension or home science or veterinary, why these competencies are required. The MEE questions by funding agency, monitoring, evaluation, appraisal, and learning questions and accountability questions usually raised by any funding agency is why should we continue to fund extension programs? Because whether university or state government or central government or some external funding agency, they invest some money in programs or project. Then usually they ask, why should we continue to fund your project in the next 5 years? Or again, extension of another 5 years. Are the programs effective? The next question would be, are the programs effective? Who benefited and what impacts were made? How would you improve or terminate ineffective programs? If there are problems, how will you improve? And if it is unable to improve, then how will you terminate ineffective program? These are some of the questions usually the monitoring, then evaluation, accountability, and learning questions asked by funding agency. Therefore, all of us being the extension professionals, we need to be relevant for the evaluation competencies. We need to have evaluation competencies. If we don't have, then we need to acquire them to be an effective extension personnel. So this is the essence of why we should know about evaluation and evaluation competencies. Value of evaluation and research opportunities are there beyond our even conventional systems. If you see the websites of UNDP or IFPRI or World Bank or WHO, USAID or any other World Trade Organization, etc., you will find any time live positions on monitoring and evaluation specialist. Always there are calls for recruiting, monitoring, and evaluation specialists by any of these international and national agencies. Then summary of the competencies they ask in their advertisement includes integration of evaluation in program planning and implementation. For instance, UNDP is implementing several projects across the sectors. Several projects across the sectors in almost all 29 states and union territories of the country. So if you see the UNDP website, there is a live call on monitoring and evaluation specialists. They ask for the competency of integrating evaluation in the program planning and implementation, management of the evaluation process, facilitation of knowledge building and sharing evaluation findings. Then when we take up evaluation of extension advisory services, all of us are involved in one way or other, or training of extension professionals, or delivering the extension programs or extension advisory services. When we talk about extension advisory services, how to evaluate them, whether they are being done properly or not. As I said in the beginning, all of us should have some indicators for evaluation of something. What are those indicators? For instance, when we take up extension advisory services, the evaluation is assessing EAS as systematically and objectively as possible about their best fit approaches. Best fit approach means one approach may not be suitable for all the areas. So in one area, public sector participation is more what you call welcome steps, some areas partnership, some area private extension advisory services. Second is embracing pluralism. There are multiple key players in extension delivery. Then increasing accountability to the clients, developing human resources, ensuring sustainability. These are some of the indicators I listed out, and you can add on some other indicators also. And against stated criteria, indicators, and time reference. When you talk about evaluation, some criteria are required. These are the criteria like whether it is a best fit approach or embracing pluralism or increasing accountability to the clients, developing human resources and ensuring sustainability. And each of these criteria have indicators as listed below. And then second one is time reference. When you are conducting an evaluation, is it a midterm evaluation in the middle of the program or a formative evaluation just at the what you called in the formative stages of a program or a project, or a summative evaluation, that is program attain some stable state of affairs that we will discuss in the few next slides. In any evaluation, whatever hierarchy or methodology you follow, you need to evaluate three major issues. One is what were the inputs, what are the outputs, and what are the expected outcomes. For every project, we'll have inputs, outputs, and outcomes. These are the three issues. Then key evaluation indicators. For example, best fit approach is one criteria. What could be some indicators for this? Gender sensitive extension programs, promoting participation and ownership, etc. This could be part of this best fit approach criteria. Embracing pluralism is multiple service providers and collaborators. Then third one is farmers empowerment, that is increasing accountability to the clients. When farmers are empowered, then automatically the accountability to the clients is increasing. Then continuous HRD, then program sustainability. These are some of the indicators that we need to take care when we are stating this criteria. So whatever you are evaluating, what you need to find out and document is the criteria of the program or the project and related indicators. Then at what time you are evaluating, a formative, summative evaluation or a long-term impact assessment. And then the three major issues, the inputs, outputs, and outcomes. We will discuss these issues by taking some other examples also. For instance, this is on the right side is the new extensionist toolkit. You can find it online. GFROS, Global Forum for Rural Advisory Services, is a big network. And then across the continents it is working. They developed the new extensionist, the roles, strategies, and capacities to strengthen extension and advisory services. These are some of the core competencies for the individuals required by the new extensionist, and this is a new extensionist learning toolkit. So this is a sort of online e-learning material which can be accessed by anyone. Any extension functionary, you can download this material and you can read with the new competencies. For example, I want to assess this e-learning material. I want to evaluate this e-learning material. In the previous slide, we discussed about evaluation of extension advisory services. Now we are taking up another example, evaluation of e-learning material or any other study material that you develop. As a part of your teaching and research, you might be developing some teaching manuals, you might be developing some lecture notes or reading material. You can evaluate this as a learning material. So when we talk about this learning material evaluation, NELK stands for New Extensionist Learning Kit. The NELK e-learning material as systematically and objectively as possible. That means we are assessing NELK as systematically and objectively as possible. The criteria here are the quality, the content, effectiveness, and ease of use. Content is also a bullet point here. It's not a different heading. So quality, effectiveness, and ease of use. These are some of the criteria, and the indicators are self-explanatory. For example, e-learning material should be always, it should meet the criteria of self-explanatory because teacher is not available. So you need to learn on yourself. So it should be self-explanatory, self-contained, self-directed learning. It should direct you, self-motivating, and self-evaluating. These are some of the indicators as far as e-learning materials are concerned. And again, the inputs, outputs, and outcomes for design and development of this e-learning material and its evaluation. I'm audible, I hope.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible, sir. You are audible, sir.
Yes. Then next issue is what are different types of evaluation? Evaluations can be broadly classified based on the timeline. Based on the timeline, whether it is early stage or later stage or in between. So broadly, they can be categorized into formative evaluations and summative evaluation. In formative evaluation, implementation stage, and in the progress stage. This is the broad classification. Then there are other types of classifications like evaluation by focus. Formative evaluation is during programs development stages. Then we can also call it as a process evaluation because we are going to evaluate at the implementation stage. And midterm appraisals are progress stage. The second one is summative evaluation once the program achieves a stable state of operation. Maybe once the program is about 4-year or 5-year old, then we can go for a summative evaluation. It is also called as outcome evaluation or ex post evaluation. Then based on the agency, internal and external. Sometimes due to lack of resources, we can go for internal evaluation, but there is always a bias towards our own program. When we are implementing the program and when we are evaluating, obviously we'll have some bias. So therefore, recently when you see for the evaluation studies and program concept notes or program DPRs, there is a separate budget for evaluation, for external evaluation, mostly done by the foreign aid agencies. If they're sponsoring the program, definitely it will have an external evaluation component. Evaluation by stage is ongoing, that is during the project, terminal after completion of the project immediately, ex post is after a time from completion of the project. Longitudinal evaluations are repeat evaluations to study the sustainability of the results. For instance, in the summative evaluation, we got some outcomes, immediate outcomes, medium-term outcomes, and long-term outcomes. Then we try to find out what is the status or sustainability of these outcomes at different points of time. Maybe after every 5 years, they conduct evaluation. It's called longitudinal evaluation. Longitudinal evaluation is sometimes also termed as impact assessment, because when we assess the program at 10 years or 15 years, then we can also call it as impact evaluation. Then evaluation tools and techniques by program stage. Like earlier, we classified them into formative and summative. But when we take up the program are in these 3 stages on the left side: planning stage, implementation stage, and conclusion stage. What type of evaluations that we conduct during planning? Planning time, we may conduct a needs assessment, feasibility studies, baseline studies. Why we do these studies is they give us a broad idea whether this program is really required or not. For instance, in IGNOU, we conduct needs assessment studies. When we are planning for developing a new program, like some of you may be aware that I recently launched a program on animal welfare. Program was launched in 2020, but I conducted needs assessment in 2015. Whether this animal welfare program, if I develop, whether there will be takers or not. If takers are there, what type of content they like to see in this program. So this is needs assessment. So in development programs and projects also, we conduct needs assessment. What type of needs are there for the stakeholders, felt needs, unfelt needs, etc. Second is feasibility study, whether this program is really feasible or not. Whether this program is really feasible or not. Then some baseline study. Why we need to conduct baseline study is, as I said earlier, evaluations revolve around the change theory. Change theory is dependent on the data. Baseline data before the project and the project data at the end of the program or the project. Then with the comparison and by applying some t-test, maybe we'll find out the impact and whether it is significant or not, etc. What type of evaluation questions we ask? What are the felt and unfelt capacity development needs of EAS professionals? For instance, if you want to conduct a training program, then you should know the capacity development needs of the extension advisory services professionals. Then you can plan a good program for building their capacity. Can the program address these needs? Is capacity development program feasible? Socially, economically, environmentally desirable or not? Evaluation tools include surveys, focus group discussions, observation studies, content analysis, economic analysis, benefit cost ratios, etc. Second is at the implementation stage. Program is ready, it was funded, and now we are implementing it already. Then if we go for evaluation, it is formative evaluation. In formative evaluation, what evaluation questions we ask? Is program meeting its objectives of intended outcomes or not? When you see the DPR, the draft project report or proposal, there are some expected outcomes. If we implement this program, probably these outcomes will come. So in formative evaluation, we ask questions like, is program meeting its objectives of intended outcomes or not? Are EAS professionals satisfied with the program, right? Maybe, for example, if this training program started a week ago, then you can conduct a small formative evaluation whether your participants are satisfied with the contents or not. They are satisfied with the resource persons or not. A small study. Then what are the evaluation tools? Annual monitoring reports, knowledge, aspiration, skill, attitude changes, satisfaction surveys, etc. And when the program reaches the conclusion stage, then we go for summative evaluation. Then the questions would be, are the needs addressed? Because in the beginning, we conducted needs assessment, and at the end, we are asking this question whether these needs are addressed or not, or the desired outcomes achieved or not, what is the cost effectiveness of the program, under what conditions, with what training, and at what cost, etc. These could be some of the evaluation questions. Then the tools includes pre and post program data to see the change, cohort studies, panel studies, and economic analysis. Then evaluation designs can be broadly classified into two types. One is pre-project versus post-project evaluation. What was the condition before the project? What was the condition before the program? And what is the current status? That is post-project. Survey on the present situation and situation prior to the project. But many times it suffers from memory or recall bias. Why? Because we go for this when we don't have benchmark studies. Many times we don't have benchmark studies, therefore we go for recall status, memory or recall bias, that is pre-project and post-project. Like the questions could be, what was your income before this program and what is your income today? So based on the memory of the participant, they will give the response. What was your flock size before this sheep improvement program and what is current flock size after the sheep improvement program? Baseline or benchmark study and post-project study. This is always advisable because we'll have something to compare at the end of the project. But unfortunately, in most projects, baseline data is not available. And even if it is available, it is insufficient to draw some conclusions. Second is with or without project. Many times in extension, we go for this. With project means beneficiaries of the program. Without project means non-beneficiaries. K.V.K. beneficiaries, K.V.K. non-beneficiaries. Control and what to call experimental sample. So beneficiary, non-beneficiary, and many times, often we combine these both. So combination of both is most appropriate, right? Then how to conduct a program evaluation? First of all, writing an evaluation proposal, sometimes it should be part of even the program proposal itself. Evaluation proposal should be part and parcel of the broad program or project itself. What was the need for evaluation? We need to justify when we are submitting the program project funding report itself, funding proposal itself. So in the need for evaluation, we try to write economic, technical, and social needs, evaluation questions and objective. I will spend on one slide on evaluation questions. Then evaluation methodology and tool. Broadly, we have two types of evaluation tools. One is a logic framework approach. Second is Bennett's hierarchy. Or else result framework also is there. That also we will discuss. But these are the two major approaches. And whatever approach you follow, what we are going to evaluate is the inputs, outputs, and outcomes. Then what is the budget required for the evaluation? Then designing evaluation survey instrument and then getting it through the ethics committees, etc. Then coding, pre-testing, recoding, then data collection, then data analysis. Finally, evaluation report writing and communicating the findings to the funding agency. Many times they ask for two reports, a short report or a longer report. Or if you are writing a longer report, better to include a what you call an extended summary. Extended summary will form into a short report form. These are some of the major steps while we are conducting program evaluation. Then the two major frameworks, and apart from that, we will also discuss the results framework also. As I said, in logical framework approach or any other approach, we evaluate inputs, outputs, and outcomes. Why these three are major important issues in evaluation? When we are putting some inputs includes like financial inputs, money, monetary inputs, then the time. And the third input is human resources. So these are the three major inputs. One is financial, second is time, and third is your human resources. Then when we are investing some inputs, it leads to some activities. It leads to some activities like the program organizers, your training program organizers, they invested some of their time. I see this program announcement almost for the past 2-3 months in social media, posted by Prakash Rathod, then Chennappa Gowda, and then other people. And then they made several arrangements, maybe Majid and other teams, and then Karnataka Veterinary University, they invested some of their time on this. And then all of this leads to the activity, the current activity, like different sessions of the training program is an activity. Maybe compilation of all lecture notes into a manual is another activity, right? And you are all participating. So when program investments are there, it leads to some activities. Activities leads to participation of stakeholders. Ultimately, these outputs, these two together, we call them as outputs, the activities and participation, they leads to some outcomes. Outcomes could be short term, medium term, and long term. Like, for example, they are intermixing also many times, like the behavioral intent and behavioral change. The short-term changes includes or outcomes includes changes in knowledge, aspirations, skills and attitudes, change in the opinion. Before attending this evaluation, what you call the session, and after attending evaluation session, you might change your opinion about program evaluation. You may be motivated to conduct a program evaluation. Your behavior on program evaluation may change. The medium term includes change in behavior, decision making, policies, the social action. Then long-term conditions include changes in conditions like social well-being, health, economic, civic, environmental, food security, benefits, etc. The second one is Bennett's hierarchy of evaluation. I used extensively Bennett's hierarchy in several of my studies. Long-term, this logic framework approach goes in horizontal pattern, whereas Bennett's hierarchy goes in vertical from bottom to top in 7 levels, level 1 to level 7. This level 1 to level 7, they provide a process by examining the chain of means, what you do in a program or a project, and the ends, that is the results of your actions. What do you do in a program or a project, and what is the result of your actions through these 7 levels, level 1 bottom to level 2, 3, 4 when you move up. For example, this current evaluation of 21 days national refresher course, if somebody take up this evaluation study, maybe Majid or Prakash Rathod or Chennappa Gowda, you can evaluate this 21 days national refresher course that is being organized now on reorienting extension education from July 8th to 28th. What are different levels that you will consider in this program? Level 1 is inputs. The inputs includes the resources dedicated to this program, such as money, time, and then number of participants in terms of human resources. Level 2 is activities. Activities of the participants who are involved. For example, many of you might have taken permissions from your current organization, or you might have registered for this program. That is also an activity. And you are participating in this 21 days program through different sessions. That comes under level 3. Who participated and how many? For instance, I was told by organizers that around 282 or 284 participants registered for this program. So for this 21 days, daily, I believe 2 sessions are there. So there are 42 sessions that are going to be conducted. In 42 sessions, what is the attendance? How many participated and who participated? Whether the representation is from entire country or from only some parts of the country, whether male and female gender representation is there or not, and whether the agriculture universities and ICR institutes participated or not, or participants are only from KVKs. So these are some of the issues that you can consider, who participated and how many. Then level 4 is reactions. This is from participants' viewpoint. how participants reacted to the program, whether they liked this design or not. For example, some of them might have what you call required a 2-hour session, or some of them prefer 1.5 hour session. Some of them prefer daily 5 sessions and wind up this program in 10 days. Or some of them may give opinion that this session are not up to the mark, and in future you may replace the resource persons. So these are participants' reactions, and maybe the lecture notes, the reading material, the way resource persons are delivering the programs, how they're interacting with the participants. These are some of the reactions that you can design a small survey questionnaire and you can apply. Then level 5 is CASA changes. For example, change in the knowledge. I believe you might have conducted a pre-test, pre-program test. This 21 days before, a pre-test is conducted, and at the end of 21 days, a post-test is administered. And when you see the change in knowledge, change in the score, that is a change in knowledge. The level 6 is practice, behavior changes. Level 6 and level 7s may not be possible as a summative evaluation because they are something like long-term changes, behavioral change. For example, if somebody took a decision that from maybe at the end of this program, I will try to start an evaluation research. So this is a behavioral change, but it will be documented. It can be documented only after 1 year or 2 years. So maybe a repeat evaluation. Then end results at the level 7 is impacts on long-term goals or conditions. Maybe this 42 sessions that you undergo during this 21 days, how they are useful for you on long term in your extension research, teaching, and training competencies or related fields. So this could be just one example. By taking this current training programs, I try to explain in this level 7, level 1 to level 7. Then the third framework is inputs and results evaluation. Broadly, when we are classifying inputs, outputs, and outcomes are classified into short term, medium term, and long term. Whereas in inputs and results evaluation, we go for only inputs and what are the results. I invested this much money, what is the result? I invested this much resource and what is the result? And results are further classified into outputs, they are the immediate results, effect, they are the intermediate results or outcomes, and long term, that is impact, that is consequence of the effect. As I said earlier, myself and Dr. Rashid Suleiman, yesterday you might have heard of Dr. Rashid Suleiman. So ourselves, we were involved in BSMA meetings and managed subcommittee on curriculum revision. So we were involved in revision of postgraduate and PhD agricultural extension curriculum about 2 years back. And from this current session, ICR is going to implement this revised curriculum that we worked out. So this is a result, the output. Immediate result is based on our work, the revised agricultural extension curriculum is in place. This is an immediate output. This is an immediate result out of the inputs provided by Manage and ICR. We worked on it and we came out with a document of revised agricultural extension curriculum. Effect is, that is intermediate results or outcomes, that is as a consequence of the use of the output, use of the curriculum. That is, when we use this curriculum in state agricultural universities and ICR institutes, the result is, the effect is strengthened agricultural extension curricula, which train the new extensionists for the next 10 years. This ICR curriculum will be in place for the next 10 years. So using this revised agricultural extension curricula, we are expecting the effect is we are going to strengthen the agricultural extension curricula and it will train the new extensionists, the new extension professionals required for delivery of extension advisory services for the next 10 years. Then what is the impact? The long term is consequence of the effect. That is, impact is outcomes for a country as a whole than on individual. For example, using this knowledge, extension functionaries work very hard and they try to improve the food and nutritional security through efficient and effective extension advisory services by this new extensionist who are trained with the new curriculum. So these are the input results evaluation. Maybe you can put them into even Bennett's hierarchy also, as well as the logic framework approach also. Let us take one more example. Last year, I prepared a meal document for AESA, Dr. Rashid's organization, Agricultural Extension in South Asia. They were involved in what you called 6 major areas. In 6 major areas, AESA is working, Agricultural Extension in South Asia. Many of you may be aware about AESA. If not, kindly visit AESA website. It is the most dynamic and important resource for any extension functionary, not only in India, in South Asia. Please visit. So I classified and this all the activities of AESA into 6. One of them is knowledge management. And others include research, curriculum revitalization, networking, etc. Just we will discuss it because time is not there to discuss more details, so I will go quickly. First one is knowledge management. Today also I received an email also from Dr. Rashid and a WhatsApp also from Dr. Rashid. I like to show it to you, maybe all of you. So it is part of knowledge management. That includes managing the knowledge in different ways. Just a moment. Can you see this one, the last one? This is a book review today I received from Dr. Rashid. The last one. When you click, it will open the book review. Making farmer producer organization achieve viability, a practical guide. This is part of knowledge management. Probably many of you might have received this in part of, if you are part of some extension groups. Like in the knowledge management, on the extreme right side, when you see the outputs of knowledge management includes the publications, working papers, face-to-face meetings papers, AESA updates, book review. The book review is what I have shown to you today just now. The good practices notes, my meeting notes, blogs. Some of you might have even written blogs for AESA. I could see some senior participants also in the participants list. And some students also writing, PhD students are also writing blogs, some policy briefs. There are some manuals. AESA has developed some manual. Maybe I might be having a manual here. This is a manual developed by AESA. I have contributed one chapter and different experts, they contributed chapters. And another thing is, these are the blogs. When they reached 100 blogs, they published it in a book form. AESA published it in a book form. Why I'm showing this is all part of knowledge management. The AESA breakthrough for knowledge management is, their target is, all extension advisory service providers in South Asia have free and complete access to up-to-date EAS publications and social media which are generated, shared, used, and exchanged by AESA as open educational resources. Open educational resource means anybody can access this. Those who are visiting AESA website, anybody can access, they can download also. This I divided into inputs, activities, then participants, outputs, and outcomes that includes short-term, medium-term, and long-term. While preparing the meal document for AESA, that is monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning document, I tried to develop some indicators to assess the knowledge management functioning or knowledge management activity of AESA. Like for example, the publications are there, number of publications category-wise per year, and AESA publications content, quality of content, effectiveness, ease of use, comments, citation metrics, etc. could be what you called some indicators. The social media KPI in the next slide.
Sir,
We will.
sir,
Yes.
sir,
Yeah.
echo is there, sir. Your voice echo is there. So probably just both are muted, unmuted, laptop and.
No, I think I'm only using my desktop computer. I'm not using any laptop. Is it okay now?
Now okay, sir. Now okay, sir. Now okay, sir.
And this is another example on what you call using Bennett's hierarchy, integrated contract broiler farming and evaluation case study in India. Why I am presenting this slide is while you are writing evaluation proposal, even if you may not be part of the program, you may not be part of the project, but you want to evaluate that program or project, then you can write an evaluation proposal, get some funding and do it. In each evaluation proposal, evaluation questions are at most important. In other research studies, we call them as research questions. Here we call them as evaluation questions. Both are one and the same. Why I'm presenting this is, if we write a proper evaluation question, then the chances of funding your proposal is very high. For instance, these are the 4 evaluation questions. You can see the comment of the funding agency on this yellow box. The review committee was very attracted. This proposal I wrote in 2012, and this work we completed by 2015. So while sanctioning this project, this is the comment. The review committee was very attracted by your principal question, whether provision of extension advisory services by large private poultry companies through integrated contract broiler farming is making good profits to small-scale farmers compared to independent farming, or just it is a socially acceptable way of exploiting the farmers. So issue is, when you write proper evaluation question, then the chances of your funding are very, very high. Then Bennett's hierarchy that we applied in this contract broiler farming study, just like the training program example I took, the contract broiler farming evaluation hierarchy in Bennett's, I try to fit in this table. On the left side at the bottom are the inputs. The inputs includes investments and demographics of the both participants and non-participants of the contract broiler farming. That includes fixed and variable cost and their demographics. Then activities of both the farmers. Then outputs includes technical and economic performance of the farms in terms of broiler birds numbers they produce, productivity, mortalities, feed efficiencies, then overall economics of the inputs, then extension advisory services, etc. And the reactions of the farmers on the factors of motivation to do contract broiler farming, reasons to change, then CASA changes, then technical advisors adoption, then at the end, socioeconomic changes and impacts. My point here is you can fit in your evaluation criteria into the Bennett hierarchy by using these 7 levels. This is another one. In the beginning, I tried to talk to Yashwant Patel. Yashwant, are you there? Yashwant Patel from Kutch, Gujarat. Yashwant? Okay. As part of PhD work, Yashwant Patel worked on evaluation of KVK in Kutch, Gujarat. And another of my PhD student, he evaluated KVK in Rayalaseema Seva Samiti at Tirupati. So we try to fit in the KVK evaluation criteria into Bennett's hierarchy from level 1 to level 7. For instance, level 1 inputs includes resources used for the KVK activities. Second is level 2 activities performed by KVK. Some of you might be aware, KVKs have 3 major activities. One is conducting on-farm trials. Second is frontline demonstration. Third is training program. So we try to evaluate all these 3 issues. Then involvement of different stakeholders. Then reactions of trainings imparted by this KVK to 260 Adarsh Raitus. Then change in the knowledge, attitude and adoption of improved practices. This Tirupati KVK focus was on paddy and groundnut, whereas Kutch Gujarat focus was on date palm. So we changed this level 5 criteria. In Tirupati KVK, we evaluated paddy and groundnut, whereas in Kutch Gujarat, we evaluated date palm cultivation. Then level 6 is adoption behavior of beneficiary farmers on management practices of paddy and groundnut here, and in Kutch Gujarat, date palm. Then level 7 is end results, that is SWOT analysis and some case studies. Then this is another example of my own study in IGNOU. we are spending almost 54 crores on student support services. Through this formative evaluation, we try to evaluate how much money that we are spending and how much money that we can save, probably by converting the face-to-face counseling in study centers across the country to online counseling, how much money. So based on this, we gave some recommendation, and university has implemented these recommendations with this research questions. And then finally, now almost we are saving around 10 crore money annually through by converting face-to-face counseling into online or online counseling of the students. This was a small study that I conducted in 2006, but published of late 2011. So while I was in Agriculture Research Service in Bareilly, we were doing some radio farm school programs with the support of All India Radio Bareilly and All India Radio Rampur. So in one of the program, the 6th Radio Farm School program, we evaluated, and by this evaluation, we found several mistakes. And then we rectified those mistakes in the subsequent farm school programs. Then e-learning material evaluation, we tried again to fit in from level 1 to, if time is there, I'll try to explain in detail, otherwise I will rush out. Yeah, level 1 to level 7 in this e-learning material evaluation as a part of even IGNOU programs, and some of you also might be involved in developing materials. So how to evaluate we try to put in from level 1 to level 7 in Bennett's hierarchy. This is one example I am taking here on evaluation question about quality of the content of e-learning material. For instance, if the question is, are the learning objectives clear? And if the response is, for example, nearly to the high level, then the summary of the result is high rating we get. This is a relatively high rating towards high because of these reasons. The learning goals were clearly stated, connections existed between the e-learning material and gains learners could make and learners could understand. For example, had we got the result here at the low level here, then these could be the reasons. Unclear about what learners were supposed to be learning and why e-learning material had no reasonable pattern or flow. So finally, since we got this high assessment, we can write our evaluation findings as a conclusion that learners are interested in the subject, topic is relevant, and lessons have immediate application. So this is only by taking one question of one evaluation question. This is another study we conducted with this evaluation competencies in 2016 on livestock extension professional, whether they're able to understand theories and principles of monitoring and evaluation, conduct monitoring and evaluation programs, etc. And we measured them on 2 scales, how important is this task and what is their level of current level of knowledge and skill. I talked about some needs assessment. So probably many of you might be conducting needs assessment. These are 2 of my recent needs assessment studies. As part of IGNOU programs, we conduct needs assessment. And this is about monitoring and evaluation capacity building. Like you are attending this training program, on the left side, you will find evaluation capacity building in rural resource management manual. I attended this program in 2006. This program helped me to build my own capacity in evaluation. So then later on from 2006 onwards, most of my studies are on evaluation. And recently, during 2019, I was part of this program as a resource person with Michigan State University, then manage and National Institute of Rural Development. We conducted this short course for mid-career agriculture and rural development professionals on building evaluation capacity. And these are some of the last slides. I talked about broad subject matter area committee of ICR. As a part of that, we tried to review the 5th Dean's Committee and VCI reports on what are the monitoring and evaluation competency related curriculum in undergraduation training, like BSc Agriculture, BFSC, and BVSC and AH. We have these courses, Fundamentals of Agricultural Extension Education, 3 credits, and likewise these courses. In these 3 courses, program, evaluation, monitoring, impact assessment are covered to some extent at the undergraduate level. So as a what you called continuation of this knowledge, in BSMA we proposed this course, Extension 510, Evaluation and Impact Assessment, with 3 credits, 32 theory sessions and 16 practical sessions. These are the course objectives and these are the learning outcomes. At the end of this course, if you properly undergo this, then you will develop your competencies in the areas of evaluation, planning, indicator development, conducting an evaluation, including impact assessment, and finally, the report writing. Those who have access to BSMA syllabus of agricultural extension, you can see this course and full course contents also under extension 510. So to conclude, the challenges in evaluation are establishing a scientific knowledge base and generate evidence is a big challenge, because as I said, evaluation is dependent on change theory. Therefore, generating evidence is a big challenge. Example is, do extension faculty like you who attended this 21 days national refresher course, they will conduct better evaluation studies than those who do not attend. This could be an example. So how to establish a scientific knowledge base, maybe after 4 or 5 years, if we go for downline, then whether those who attended this program are benefited and they're able to conduct better evaluation studies who do not attend. Second is, it's difficult to establish a control group. Many times we go for control groups, but many times it is difficult to establish a strict control group like non-beneficiaries of K.V.K. non-beneficiaries of extension program and beneficiaries of extension program, and maintain uniform treatments and measure long-term impacts. For example, do extension professional who read AESA good practices in EAS, like they have good practices compiled and then published in AESA website, whether they will promote them better than those who do not read them. Non-availability or inadequate baseline data, this we discussed on impact indicators, to see the expanded impacts over time. This is a big problem, is we don't have, or even when it is available, it is inadequate. So therefore, evaluation is neglected and mistakenly seen as a fault-finding mechanism. Whenever we conduct evaluation, they see that it's a fault-finding mechanism, but we should clear be that it's a learning process. Evaluation is a learning process, and past experiences guide us to a better future. Thank you very much, and I'll be happy to answer any questions or comments.
So participants, if any questions are there, please interact.
Sir, good evening, sir. Thank you very much for your lecture.
Yeah.
Sir, in field situation, is there does all the for example, is there any level like other even micro level happenings can be evaluated through some procedures?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I think I see your designation and affiliation with TNFU.
Yes,
Is
sir.
it Tamil Nadu Fisheries University?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
About 2 months back, I delivered almost a similar session for the participants from Tamil Nadu Agriculture Department, and especially they are from Engineering Department, Tamil Nadu Agriculture Engineering Department.
Okay,
So in
sir.
that presentation, I gave a lot of examples I took from Tamil Nadu, the micro irrigation schemes that they are implementing, or sprinkler irrigation schemes that they are implementing, several things. For instance, it is not necessary to go for all 7 levels or inputs, outputs, and outcomes evaluation, because there are certain limitations are there. You may not be having time to evaluate entire thing in 7 levels. For example, in our IGNOU evaluation recently, we did only at the base level of inputs and then activities only. We have not even gone for the outputs and outcomes. With a small evaluation, with a small formative evaluation of inputs and activities, we could save nearly 10 crore rupees based on the recommendation of the evaluation. So if it is not possible for you to evaluate all 7 levels, then you can go for only CASA changes. For example, when I asked this first question in my first slide, whether you have conducted any evaluation study or not. Yes, I believe all of you must have conducted your evaluation studies. Like many times you see the extension thesis, knowledge change, measurement of knowledge, measurement of attitudes, measurement of skills. These are all our evaluation studies, but confining to one level, the activities level or outputs level or immediate outcomes level. Yes, you can go for it.
Any other question you may have, please ask.
Thank you.
Ramya is asking for my contact detail. On my last slide, my email is there, madam. Can you just please check? P.V.K. Sasidhar at ignou.ac.in.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Sir,
please.
Sir, is there any model for impact assessment studies, as you have given the Bennett's hierarchy model for evaluation?
Yeah.
Is there any model?
Impact is nothing but a long-term evaluation, ma'am. When we complete the program and after a period of maybe 10 years or 5 years, many times impact is what you called using as an evaluation. Many times I see impact when even if you are conducting a formative evaluation study. Many times we are using the term impact when even we are conducting a summative evaluation just at the end of the program. Impact is something like result of the program or a project over a period of time. Like for instance, food security as a result of several green revolution projects and programs. Yes, we do have impact evaluations, then direct impact evaluation, then participatory methods of impact evaluation.
Hello, may I, sir?
Yes, sir. Jairaj, sir. Tell me.
Yeah, actually, sir, now the central government is giving more emphasis for the promotion of farmer producer organizations or farmer producer companies under Companies Act.
Yes.
And many farmer groups are incorporating companies also.
Yes.
But most of the companies are ending with the liabilities. So is there any protocol developed for evaluating the functioning of FPOs under Companies Act? Because
Yes,
it is actually need of the hour.
Pertinent question, sir. At least I have not evaluated any FPO so far. But as you said, yes, now the old cooperatives are being converted into either FPOs or farmer producer organizations. And even organizations like NDDP are promoting new cooperatives as FPOs. Now they are not what you calling them as a cooperative societies, dairy cooperative societies. Now they are promoting cooperatives in the form of farmers producer organizations. And as a part of recently we were involved in some FAO consultancy. So there also we tried to gather information on FPOs. How many of them are exactly, but we don't have exact statistics on even the numbers, sir. And this is a need. This is really a need to evaluate at least FPOs. Whether all 7 levels are there, that is well and good. And if we are unable to what you call fix up all 7 levels of hierarchy into FPO evaluation, at least maybe first level to 4th level documenting something. There are only 2 major studies I could get by searching entire literature. One is by IIM Ahmedabad or Rural Management Institute, IRMA. And then second one is sponsored by NABARD. So these are 2 major studies, and even we don't have exact details on how many FPOs are there as of now in the country. We don't have details, even with the ministry also who are registering the FPOs. But this is a really interesting area, and somebody can take up this FPO evaluation. But many of them are in formative stage or formative evaluation. I suggest maybe we can have a formative evaluation, so that FPOs, new FPOs, when they're coming up, this formative evaluation can help them to establish in a better way.
So is there any protocol developed for this formative
No, sir.
evaluation?
Maybe you can fit in them into Bennett's hierarchy, or results framework approach, or logic framework. But I suggest you Bennett's hierarchy.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So participants, please, if anybody.
I could see number of questions in the chat box. Channu, can you read out them?
Sir, this is Ramakrishna.
Yeah, Ramakrishnan ji, tell me, please.
Yeah, this is Ramakrishna from Professor Jayasankar Agriculture University, sir.
Yeah.
We are working with the DART Center, District Agriculture Advisor Transfer of Technology Center.
Where, sir?
Sir, I observed your presentation is very nice, sir.
Yeah.
Very practical and approachable.
Where are you working, sir? In which DART center you are working?
Palem, sir. RRS Palem.
Okay, Palem. Good. Tell me.
Sir, most of the evaluation studies or implementation studies, all these things, at a rural level, sir, theoretically it is okay. Rural level, we are working with the most of the, of course, now the literacy percentage minimum 20 to 30, even less than 10% still in rural level, especially with the farmers. So if you implement some any technology to them, at them, they will do some. They will not exactly follow the what we impose the technology.
I got your question, sir. I got your question, Ramakrishna ji.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sir. Are you audible, sir?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Sir, here the straight away the evaluation after implementation of the any suppose demonstration or any technical advisory, whether it is worked or not, after evaluation,
sir,
we will give some best results, sir. After taking after giving gap 2 years, 3 years, then we will go to that field, that village. That will not followed by that technology is a short period. Then the time where we imposed that time, then only it will work. Next, they will not follow that.
Your question is pertinent, sir. Maybe I try to answer this as short as possible. Just for your information, sir, I did my PhD from now currently Jayasankar University. Earlier it was Acharya N.G. Ranga University. I did my PhD in EI, sir, Extension Education Institute, Hyderabad. Coming to your question, sir, if you have seen my slide on K.V.K. evaluation, at level 4 and 5, we try to evaluate the adoption practices by the farmers in terms of paddy cultivation, in terms of groundnut cultivation in Tirupati and date palm cultivation in Kutch, Gujarat. So where we try to evaluate the technology adoption, whether they are fully adopted, partially adopted, or adopted and discontinued, or continuously discontinued. So technology adoption evaluation is a really good area, but we have been doing it, sir. All our adoption studies are nothing but technology evaluation studies only. We have conducted number of adoption studies in extension. All of them are technology evaluation studies only. Maybe point is if we do it on a long-term interval, maybe for every 3 to 4 years in a similar pattern like the cohort studies, then you will definitely get the real impact of any technology over a period of time. But what we are doing is in data centers and KVK, for 2 years we are adopting a cluster of villages, and after 2 years we are changing to another cluster. Then we are not conducting the follow-up evaluation studies. That's why we are unable to document the long-term impacts.
Yes, sir. That's what, for example, yes, sir, I convince with you. That is actually real fact you tell. For example, suppose seed treatment. seed treatment, maybe chemical may be changed in due course of time, but the activity of seed treatment will not change. That trainings, demonstrations, we are since 10-15
Yes,
years
sir.
back, we are giving to the farmers.
For example,
We have to
when we
actually
take a
motivational factor. We have to
Ramakrishna
address.
sir, Ramakrishna sir, sir, you can individually discuss with
Yeah,
because some
okay,
more
okay.
participants are there. Dayanand sir wants to ask some question.
Yes,
Dayanand Satyar sir.
Ramakrishna, you will talk later.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Sir,
you.
Yeah,
Sir,
Dayanand.
sir, the administrator is small submission, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, my number
Yes.
is not in the group, my WhatsApp
Yes,
group.
we will add, sir. We will add. You
Yeah, it is
WhatsApp, you
not
WhatsApp to
accepting.
us. We will add.
Channu,
Yeah,
kindly
please,
add me also in the WhatsApp group, Channu.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, Dayanand, sir,
Dayanand.
you're asking something, Dayanand, Jor.
Sir, very nice presentation. It's really good presentation, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, most of the time, with regarding sustainability analysis, most of the, especially the programs implemented by KVK, as you mentioned, so it was because of absence of follow-up activities. So just short-term programs, just now they implement and they forget. Again, one
Yes.
more project, they get
Yes.
and again they will implement same thing and they will forget. And I have gone through many studies, and the title of the studies are almost impact assessment. So wrongly they do that. So in this sustainability analysis is very important. Sustainability of the project as well as after implementing the project, sustainability is a question. Any specific methodology, especially in extension approach?
Sir, for sustainability evaluation, sir, instead of going to extension methodology, I suggest you to go to the environment science, sir, or economics. Like, for example, in Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, there is a concept that they promote in each and every project is environment impact assessment. They cover the sustainability issues in very, very minute details are covered. That methodology is more suitable even for KVKs also. When we talk about sustainability interventions for long-term benefits of the farmers, and then we can also try in extension methodology by developing indicators itself. Even several of our studies are attempting to see the impacts, but we can propose our studies even to develop the methodology also. For instance, can we propose a study which can develop indicators for different types of appraisals, like technology assessment, sustainability assessment, or economic assessment, feasibility assessment? What are the indicators for this? For example, you asked about sustainability, but are there any studies which have finalized that these are the indicators for KVK technology, sustainability, and these are the indicators? So maybe at the higher level, at the what you call extension division level of ICR or directorates of extension, they should focus more on this. They should develop indicators. Then they should ask the KVKs whether on these indicators how they are functioning.
Yes, sir. Certainly, sir. I am an economist and I have been associated with many international organizations in evaluation studies earlier.
Many times,
So,
sir,
but
we need to closely work with economists, sir. Extension people, many of them are working individually, but a close contact with economics people, both will be benefited. Both extension and economic people will be benefited.
yeah,
Dr.
consortium.
Dayanand
Okay.
Satyar sir is an economist, sir, agriculture economist.
Yeah.
He is our Raichur, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Anybody
Sir,
else? Yes.
Yeah. Hello.
Yes, please. Majid. Anybody else?
Any other question from any other participant? I think we've gone over our allotted time. We can take one more question and then we can call it.
Majid ji, I have a fundamental submission.
Please, sir.
When we are having 282 participants, 1 hour session is not sufficient. At least for
So
giving
that is the different
and
format. That is not by me.
No, you
But
should
yeah,
change
I can communicate to the people, to the organizing committee like the.
Instead of having 1 hour session, let us have 1.5 hour session. 1 hour is for the session and at least half an hour for what you call interaction.
I get
yes,
your
sir.
point, sir.
Sir, I would like to interfere, please.
Yeah, Prakash.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, we will take care of this timing, sir, because many times, because what we observed is online trainings or actually online classes, people will not be in a position to sit for more than 1.5 hour like that. So that was the one of the idea that we restricted ourselves. Anyways, we will give good time for discussion, sir. Not an issue.
Yes.
We will consider this point and we'll see for the next lecture, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Chandu, can you see any chart questions?
What, sir?
Are there any chart questions?
Chart questions, sir.
Can I have this presentation? Sasidhar, I found someone. Yes, I'll share this presentation and kindly share it with all the participants.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
If you could, sir, respond with the presentation, and we will make it part of the YouTube video itself.
Yeah. Please share the presentation or manual.
Sure, sir. You can reply to the invite with as an attachment this presentation. I'll download it and convert it to a PDF, and it will be the link would be part of the video description, and people can click and download the PDF of the presentation.
Okay.
Okay, if there are no questions, we would like to conclude.
Yeah.
Majid?
Yeah. Please provide the vote of thanks, sir. Please.
Yes. We would like to thank on behalf of organizing committee as well as Karnataka Veterinary Animal and Fishery Sciences University to Dr. P.V.K. Sasidhar, sir, who also happens to be my teacher, of course, and whom I have been taught for MUSC. And sir, it was a nice presentation, and this happens to be a third presentation in a row. So yesterday, Dr. Thammiraju sir and one more Rashid sir has completed, and things are moving and participants good attendance is there. Sir, thank you, sir, for being a part of our training program, and as per your suggestion, we will take care that the discussion time is given for the participants. As it is the initial sessions, we are only getting grip today only. By tomorrow we will be giving more and more time. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you,
Sir,
Chenyu.
thank you.
Thank you,
But
Prakash.
sir,
Thank you,
don't
Master.
forget to add WhatsApp, sir.
Yeah, sure.
Ramakrishna sir,
I'd
you
like
just Ramakrishna sir, you message your number, sir, in the chat box.
Okay, sir.
Chandu, there
You
is a
message your number, we will add.
Chandu, there is a important question by Harshita that my mic
Yes,
is
sir.
not working. So one has to evaluate new product